Hello and welcome. Today we are going to be starting off by solving proportions. Proportions. A proportion is an equation stating that two ratios are equivalent. And anytime you hear the word ratio, that is just a fraction. So that anytime we have two fractions being compared to each other. To solve a proportion, it says round to the nearest tenth if necessary. So what we see is we have our original proportion, x over 45 equals 15. Now to solve this, we're first multiplying both sides by the denominator of 45. Doing this isolates the x all by itself, and we have a little bit of ugly math, 45 times 15 divided by 25. But when we simplify that down, we get 227. So check your solution by substitution into the original proportion and check to see if it works. So from here, we had 27 as our proportion, as what we solved for. We're going to plug the 27 in for x, and they both reduce down to 3/5, which is a true statement. It says, what is another equation that you could write to solve the proportion? Well, 15 over 25 reduces, so you could have started off by saying x over 45 equals 3 over 5. Had we done it this way, we could have multiplied to solve, but in this we can take a look at something nice right here. For something, 45 and 5 have a relation. It's times 9. So if these two things are equal, 5 times 9 is 45. 3 times 9 gives us 27. That's the other way we could have solved this. All right, next up we have n minus 4 divided by 8 equals 3 over 2, if necessary, round. So the first thing I'm going to do here is I see my denominators are 8 and 2. Since 8 is a multiple of 2, I'm going to multiply this whole thing by 8. From here, 8's cancel. N minus 4 equals 3 times 8 is 24. 24 divided by 2 is 12. So we now have n minus 4 is equal to 12. Add 4 to both sides. We get n equals 16 for A. 2. Solve a proportion with two missing quantities. Now, they multiply each side by 9, then simplify, and then they multiply each step by 24. We can just use the cross product. To do this as well, and we'll do it in one step. So we're going to restart this problem over here. They're not wrong, but they're just doing this in extra steps. So the cross product tells us we get 24x, and that's going to equal 9 times this. 9 times 2x is 18x. 9 times negative 3 is negative 27. And if you take a look, what we got right here is the exact same that they got right here. We did this in one step using the cross product. That's where you take your denominator on one side, multiply it by the numerator, take the denominator of the other side, multiply it by the numerator. So the in-between would look like this. 24 times x equals 9 to x minus 3. So that's our in-between becomes here. From here, the problem's solved the exact same way. They are subtracting 18x from both sides. Cancels out over here. 24x minus 18x is 6x. Negative 27 drops down. Dividing both sides by 6, we get x equals negative 4.5. And think about it. How would the problem differ if the second ratio were 24 over? So it's asking us if it was this, x over 9 equals 24 over 2x minus 3. So this just makes it a little bit more difficult. What this is going to do when we try to solve this with cross product, we're going to get a quadratic equation over here. And this is going to be 9 times 24. This is going to become 2x squared minus 3x equals, and then 9 and 24, 9 times 24 gives us 216. And we have to solve it from there. Solving quadratics is still a little bit above our head, but that's how this would change. In our check, we have x over 12 equals 2x minus 5 over 18. So we're going to use the cross product here. Using our cross product, we get 18x equals 12 times 2x is 24x. 12 times negative 5 is negative 60. And over here we have 18 times x. From here, we're going to subtract 24x from both sides. Cancel. 18 minus 24 should give us negative 6. Negative 60. From here, divide both sides by negative 6. And we get x equals 10. Again, proportions are not terribly hard, but what we do have to do is make sure we do our correct multiplication steps. Parts of Mexico City are sinking at a rate of 140 centimeters every 5 years. If this rate remains constant, how many centimeters will the city sink in the next 12 years? So they're giving us a rate. It says in 10 years, Mexico City will sink 140 times 2, because it's 140 every 5 years, or 280. Because 10 years is slightly more. No, 10 years is slightly less than 12 years. Mexico City will sink more than. So let's see represent number of how much number of centimeters sinking. So first up, we have 140 every 5 years equals something over 12 years. Taking away the units, we get 140 over 5 equals C over 12. Now, I'm going to do cross product. No, we don't need to do cross product on this, because once we multiply by the 12, it cancels out here. We get 1,680 over 5, which gives us 336 centimeters. How did you know your solution is reasonable? That takes us back up to here. We know that if it's 140 every 5, that'll be 280 and 10. Since we're looking at 12, this should be more than 280. And again, since it's 12, we know it's more than 280, so in the 300s makes sense. Mixture. Oscar's making fruit punch to sell from his food truck by mixing 8 parts cranberry, 3 parts pineapple. So we have 8 parts cranberry over 3 parts pineapple. How many cups of pineapple juice would he need to mix with 48 cups of cranberry? Okay, so this is now 48 over x. All right, now we actually have something to make our lives very easy here. That's cranberry to pineapple. So in this proportion, I see that 8 goes into 48 by multiplying it by 6. 8 times 6 is 48. So if this works up here, then this has to work down here. 3 times 6 is 18. Let's check. So if we were to do our cross product method, I get 8x by x times 8, and then 3 and 48. 3 times 48 gives me 144. 3 times 48 gives me 144. 144, divide both sides by 8. X equals 18. Hey, it worked. So, if we can check, see a relationship here, like 8 times 6 is 48, the same relationship applies down here. 4. A guide company makes a trail mix of raisins and mixed nuts. How many pounds of raisins does the guide company need to mix with 14 pounds of mixed nuts to make the trail mix 30% raisins? All right. So since it's 30%, we're going to use 30 over 100. And then we have cup, we have the amount in raisins over the total amount. R is the pounds of raisins. Let R plus 14 represent the total amount of trail mix. Got it. They multiply both sides by R plus 14. Simplify. So this is the distribution. They use the distribution property. 3/10 gets distributed through. Combine like terms, simplify. We're left with R equals 42 over 7 or 6. Method 2, mix nuts. Let R represent the number of pounds of raisins when the pounds of mixed nuts is 14. Write and solve a proportion. So what this means is we know that raisins make up 30% of the mix, so the mixed nuts make up 70% of the mix. By doing it this route, it's much slower. By that I mean not slower, it's much faster to get done. Doesn't take as much time to think. Saying slower instead of less work. And what we see is we can substitute in the amount that we have. We know there's 14. Multiply both sides by 14, and we solve. Aita is making plant food mix for her garden. The mixture will be 20% plant food, 80% water. She needs to make 12 gallons of mix to cover the entire garden. Which proportion can be used to find the amount of plant food she needs? Well, if she needs to make 12 gallons of mixture. Okay, well, of 12 gallons, we know it's 20% plant food. And we need to know how much the plant food is. Well, it's going to be 20% of 12. So we can go 20 over 100 equals x over 12. Cross multiply. 240 equals 100x. Divide both sides. By 100. And we get 2.4 equals x. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me slide that up. So I use 20 over 100, you over p over, oh, we got to match it. 20 over 100, p over 12. That is b. Over here, and think about it, says after multiplying both sides by r plus 14, Raj has the following result. So what he didn't do is he messed up his distribution property. We're supposed to have a 3/10 right there too. And that's it. Thank you so much.